Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White on Keeping It Real on Purpose. And today we have a special guest. She's Lavina Quilliam, who's a life coach, and she's going to talk about all things life coach. But I think what we're going to focus on today is self-care, because that seems to be coming up a lot. So welcome, Lavina, to Keeping It Real on Purpose.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Well, I know that we've been talking about self-care. We've been hearing it on the radio, the television, and everything, right? So I'm excited to learn more about that as we go along. Tell me, how do you show up in the world?
I like to show up in the world just with that grounded, resilient hope for what is to come, to look forward to, the possibilities in life, and just really, anchor it into, neutrality and peace.
Okay, I think we're a little stuck here. There we go. All right, so so you show up in the world, I love the word resilient. So share with us a story on your resiliency.
So it started when I was very young. So I was like in my early 20s, and I got diagnosed with Graves' disease, which I never saw it coming. I thought, especially at a young age, that you could just push your body, you could overwork, you wouldn't have to, you don't need to really look after yourself. Like, you just take it for granted. That's when you get older, then you have to take care of yourself. And life showed me that, wow, I had full-blown anxiety every single day. People said it was in my mind, but in my body. And I was just every day, it was just panic attack every single day. And that's when I had to, look at self-care and really put myself first, regardless of the age.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I was just talking to someone else, and we're talking about self-care and your mental health. So we know that anxiety can actually be something that has to do with mental health, and a possible, I guess, a certain activity in your body that comes from a trauma, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about you becoming a life coach and how that changed pretty much your life.
So I didn't really set out to be a life coach. I always liked to help people. So it was a natural progression into this, or transition into it. I always want to serve. I always want to uplift. I always want to share my wisdom, what I've gone through. And then naturally people wanted that help, and therefore it became the title of life coach, but it's just more like serving and helping. And it changed my life because I always want to learn something. I always want to, become the best version of myself alongside, the woman that I serve at the same time. So it's always inspiration and motivation, especially on the journey where it sounds like it's easy, but really the nitty gritty is that it's quite tough as well, most of the time, doing the self-care. And I feel like that's important when you look at, the shadows as well.
Right. So in what you were going through, you learned about self-care. What are 3 steps we can begin to kind of grasp self-care from your perspective?
So for me, I didn't really like, we always hear about self-care, and we know the importance of it, but to actually do it is a completely different story. So for me, because I'm very, started this journey very logical, analytical, but I was like, no, I don't have to do this. So what I had to do was literally lay on the grass for months before I could, just lie on the grass or have my back against a tree, really just keep it just simple. And even just getting fresh air, that was the main thing. As long as I went outside, because I didn't really want to go outside because it drew panic attacks, but I literally just go outside. I know I'm going to feel better afterwards. So just get outside, and also just, if I wanted to be inside, just listen to a music, just to, relax the body. Any meditation as well was a really good thing.
Okay. And so you're saying to get outside is number 1. And can you give us 2 others?
Yep. So the meditation was the second one. So if you can't go
Second one,
outdoors,
okay.
just
Okay.
meditate. And the third self-care is just ask your body, like, what does it need? And then provide it. So it might be like, I
Okay.
just want to, read a book, but, or I need to talk to someone, or just anything that comes from what the body is asking for.
Okay. And how do we sense what the body is asking for? How do we sense that?
To build a relationship. So it won't, majority of the time won't happen overnight. It might not tell us anything. You might throw a tantrum. It may be angry. And it just, we need to give that space, to feel it.
Right. Okay. Okay. So there's some type of behavior being displayed when the body's trying to tell you something. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk about self-care from the point of view, let's say, like you said, you were young, you didn't think you needed to do any of those things when you were younger, but you were experiencing anxiety when you were younger. How can people really realize, I know you said making, being aware of all of that, but how can the listeners really say, hey, something's weird going on. What step would you suggest when there's anxiety happen for you? Would you suggest someone going to the hospital? What would you suggest to kind of start to get that under control?
Well, when I was desperate, actually, I remember walking inside the street and just go, I need to go to hospital. Like, that's how bad I felt. And then I was walking my sister. She's like, calm down, you're all right. Like, you'll be fine. But like, literally, sometimes if that's what you feel to go, definitely, seek help in that remedy. I wasn't able to, she stopped me. So I don't know how that might have went quicker. But for me, it was like I sought help in obviously the doctor. I sought help in all these other specialists, remedies, all these, practitioners, like healers. Even I went to them. I did EFT tapping. I did my own research. I literally, seek help wherever you can, whoever you feel comfortable with. But really getting that support was absolutely everything. I've had support ever since. So yeah, I would never be without it.
Okay. All right. With your self-care that you're talking about, there are questions that you're going to ask yourself. What 3 questions would start that journey?
The first question I'll ask is, which is probably like, it sounds simple, but why are you resisting the change? Or do you want the self-care? Do you want to love yourself, bad enough as well? Because sometimes we go, we don't really need to, life is comfortable, we're okay, we don't need it, we're not immune to it. Life is not like rock bottom, basically. So it's like, how can we not allow life to get rock bottom, or where we feel like we need to have extra time, or when we're depleted, but to actually have it before that burnt out, depleted, just have it because we love ourselves enough because of it.
Okay. So that would be the first question. Do you believe in celebrating every time? Because I know I do. Every time you reach a goal or a part of self-care, do you celebrate?
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. That's celebrating, playing, like just, cherishing yourself. I think we don't do that enough. I think that's an amazing, amazing reminder to have that party. Every little milestone, yeah. Jump around, dance around,
jump around
yeah.
and everything. Yeah. That's great. Sometimes when you're healing, right, and when you're getting on board with self-care, in comes maybe somebody, right? Somebody that's like, oh, you don't have to do all of that, right? It's not necessary, right? How do you start to, I guess, not be distracted? How do you not be distracted over something that's someone possibly who's like close to you saying? How do you fix that? How do you adjust your mindset?
And that happens all the time because a lot of people perceive it as an expense or a cost. And they tell me all the time, like, it's a waste of money, like you're wasting all your money on this, you have nothing to show, it doesn't work. So I get it all the time. And for me, it was always like, I need to be that leader and I need to continue to show the effects that I do. And people are like, you look so much younger and you just feel good, you're uplifted. And it's because I'm like, I'm doing self-care, but I'm not like, I'm just showing the way. I'm just like showing it through my being and my embodiment that people are going to ask why, how, it is through the self-care. And I feel like just, being that shining example and just keep on doing it and having that blockers down and go, that's people's energy and they have every right to believe that, push that energy back to energy hygiene and remain in my energy and keep on going.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Because I know, yeah, like you said, it does happen a lot and you get naysayers and things like that. But you need to know how to kind of guard that. And that's really good what you said. Very good. What helps you to slow down and feel more present in your experience?
And it has been tough because, as I said, I had hyperthyroid. So it was like, with Graves' disease, very, very hyper. And then I lost all my energy. So that also helped me with my senses. For me, it's something very simple in terms of I like chocolates. So I like to mindfully suck on a chocolate. I also like to see, what can I see? What can I hear? At this time and what's beautiful around me, like a flower, like I notice a little things on the ground and I pick it up, a little trinket here and there, and just like little things.
Okay, just to notice the little things, right? Because one time I did an exercise with myself and I was like, I wonder how long. I was going to wash dishes and I didn't have to, but I was like, I got to start staying in the moment. And it was a really simple thing. So I went to wash the dishes, which I normally just throw them in the dishwasher. But I said, I want to try to stay in the moment. So I started washing the dishes. And it was a 5-minute thing, but I was teaching myself how to feel the wetness of the towel, the way the towel felt, the way that the dish detergent felt. And then I was feeling the plates if I left anything residue. But I've often felt my mind going on, okay, you got to hurry up because you got to cook this or you got to do that, But I always kind of came back to the moment. I think being in the moment and feeling more present in the moment is very good because the world is teaching us we have to be busy, active, hustling, and all of that. But we have to come back to slowing down and feeling more present. What has been your experience with that?
Absolutely. And it's everywhere. Like, and it's, through people, like you're perceived as, lazy if you're like looking like you're not doing much. And I've got that title many, many times that I'm very lazy. And I'm just like, oh, what are you doing with yourself? And you're doing with your life. And again, I stop and I breathe throughout the day. Like people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm taking a breathing break. And it's like, no matter where I am, in the public or wherever, they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you have COVID? Like you're breathing COVID on me. And I was like, no, I'm actually just breathing. I'm sorry that you're around me, but I can't always go to the toilet every 5 minutes.
That's really good. And breathing, those breathing exercises bring you into awareness of yourself. Like how you're breathing, and it also brings you into awareness of the moment, and that's really good stuff. Really good stuff. What can you tell us today that you didn't think you could do a year ago?
Was allow myself to not feel guilty about having a venture because, as people tell you, you're wasting money and things like that. I always used to have a venture. But I feel guilty. I was like, oh, I shouldn't. Maybe this is not good. But for me now, it's like every month, do something like a celebration for myself and just do it without that guilt and just really soak up and enjoy.
Yeah, that's good. Because along with having self-care, people make us feel guilty because, or try to call us names, right? I know you just said they try to say, oh, you're being lazy, blah, blah, blah. But it's really doing self-care. So can you explain to the audience what's the difference between alone and solitude?
Oh, I love this. So first, when my journey was, I felt like I was alone, but you're never alone anyway. Like you think that, but there's always, whatever people believe in, that's the connection. And also, with Mother Nature or whatever people, believe in, whether it's God, there's always
Right.
something, there's always someone there looking at you, supporting you, like, praying and just really, just letting it all out. And you can just like have that sense of that feeling that you're never alone. That's why you like it, you soak it up. But people perceive it as that you're alone. And it's funny, why spend much time alone, and isn't that lonely? And it's like, no, it's filling my cup, I'm building my connection, I'm just loving that essence, that presence, and that feeling. Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah. And I think solitude has a lot to do with that, because you're embracing yourself a lot more, you're being aware of yourself a lot more, and you're releasing that peace. You're experiencing that peace. So I think a lot of people believe alone time is different than alone. And I think, when, you're very lonely, they kind of, they probably kind of put that word there. Are you lonely? Is that why you're home by yourself? And I'm like, no. No, you can be alone. You can be lonely in a room full of people. So it's very, very true. They associate the word alone with lonely. I don't know why. It's crazy, but yeah. So I have, clients that kind of, it's like, no, that's not the same thing. That's just not the same thing. Do you commit to a schedule that shows your self-care and your solitude time?
Oh, absolutely. I always make sure I embed it in my calendar and I give time, otherwise slowly time evaporates. We make, busy time doing other things. But yeah, very much so. I make sure every single day there's some sort of self-care, whether it's just a little thing every day.
Right. Well, this is good
But for me, I
stuff.
do it in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I do mine in the morning too as well. This is really good stuff. So how can my audience get in touch with you? And where are you located?
I'm located in Sydney, Australia. And people can get in contact with me through my free Facebook group, which I like, just, hanging out there and just being, with my people. It's called Logical Minds, Sacred Body and Heart-Centered Beings.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's a mouthful, but that's really good. That's good stuff. I like that. I really do like that. So this brings us to the end of our show. We've gotten a lot of great information to get us going on that self-care journey. And I want to thank my guest, Lavina Quilliam, for being here today. Thanks for listening, audience. And if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post it about on social media, and leave a rating. If you really want to catch up to Lavina, I need you to click the button on the bottom of the Spotify podcast and leave her a question, and I'll make sure that she gets the question. Thanks so much. This is your host, Edna White, and our esteemed guest, Gilliam. Oh, Lord, now see, I done messed it up. Lavina Quilliam. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
That was good.